Today I am making an example out of Terrence Ruffin. This is another episode of my Progress Report series. Here we take a look at different athletes and compare them to previous versions of themselves to see where they've improved, stayed stagnant, or even gotten worse. Terrence at one time was the heir apparent to the classic physique throne, but at the end of 2022 he took a little tumble and fell out of the top 5. In 2023 he did a little bit better, but he's yet to get back to where he was. But he'll have another shot this year because he is now qualified for this year's Olympia. Will this physique be enough though? Has he progressed enough to place higher than the previous versions? Let's see how Rough Diesel has improved and what he can still do better. Remember, if you guys like these types of videos, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more. Now this will be a pretty quick vid and you'll see why pretty soon, but the face cam is back today. The first thing I want to mention are the versions being used today. Of course we're using the 2025 Pittsburgh Pro version, that's on the right, but for his previous version there were a lot of options. I could have used his 2020, 2021 packages where he placed second to Chris Bumstead, but really when I looked at the package from 2023, which is what I decided to use, I thought he was just as conditioned and just a little bit bigger. I know he fell in placings even though the package was probably at this point in time one of his better packages in general. And there is a explanation for that, and we'll get to that at the end of this video. Why is he placing lower but getting better? Anyway, this pose is a pretty easy one to determine, pretty simple. It's just that he's more substantial now. I think that's probably the best word to use. In the legs, they've gotten a bit bigger. Those adductors are really popping out. I definitely noticed that. And the skin seems a little bit thinner on them. So he definitely grew a little bit in the legs. The lats are probably a little bit fuller as well. And the arms are weak on Terrence. They always have been and probably always will be. But they just look a little bit fuller, just a little bit more substantial, as I said. So overall, this pose didn't change too much, but I think it is better. It was already a pretty good shot for him, but he's just got a little more muscle now with the same great proportions. Next, we have the side chest, which is honestly probably one of Terrence's weaker poses simply because he's the smallest guy out of a top name in Classic. Now, the main thing being changed here between these two versions is the execution. Back in 2023, he would really scrunch this pose up, and he's trying to overcompensate with the posing and pushing that far pec really into the other one to try to appear thicker. But in 2025, he is just as thick as 2023, but he's a lot more opened up. That means there is some level of muscle improvement. He can do different posing and flatten out his pecs more with the structure of the pose, but still look just as thick in the actual muscle group of the chest. So because he added a little bit more muscle, he can do a slightly different pose and still look great. But this overall execution is better than what he was doing in 2023. He's already a smaller guy. He's already going to get dwarfed on stage in this shot by a lot of people. But in 2025, with opening up more, he can actually take more space up on stage, which is always going to be a plus for Terrence. And in the side leg, I think it's easier to see a little bit more true blue size gain, and I think his condition is a little better downstairs as well. So overall, pretty minor tweaks on the actual bare bones of it, but with the execution, it's definitely an improvement to an otherwise pretty weaker pose for Terrence. Next, we have the rear double bicep, and this was already a pretty good shot for Terrence. I think this is one of the main reasons he has gotten as far as he has, is because his back pose is very complete and very developed. But this is actually the most improved shot from what I noticed in Pittsburgh. The legs definitely improved for one. He's already been leg dominant, so I guess it comes as no surprise that his legs have gotten bigger. He seems to just grow those easier. But improvement is improvement, and I think it helps. He's now officially on team no thigh gap. Not only are his adductors more filled in and his quad sweeps more filled out, but I think overall he is again more conditioned here. And then for the back, it's just overall more well-rounded and filled in. The lats really got thickened in his time away from the stage. Now his upper back doesn't have the same 3D popping effect that it did in 2023, but in 2025 he's just a lot thicker, and I just think there's more muscle there, so I think that's a pretty worthy trade-off. So not only is his back more filled in and filled out, but I think his posing is actually slightly tweaked as well. He looks a little bit more opened up. And again, this will always be a good thing for Terrence because he's a smaller guy. He needs to take up as much stage as possible. And finally, for the arms and delts, they just look a little bit bigger. Delts a little bit bigger, arms a little bit bigger. So overall, the little things are just adding up. He's a little more thickened up in the back. He's a little bit bigger in the legs, a little bit bigger in the upper limbs as well. And it's taking what was already a pretty good pose and just making it even better. But he's also very aesthetic still. He has like a perfect X-frame even in the rear double. He's definitely going to need a very good back too, because he'll probably be facing off against Ramon and Mike, who have killer back poses. So Terrence is at least going to be able to hold his own against a pretty good shot against the other top competitors. And finally, we have the abs and thighs, but we are kind of ending on a slightly less impressive note. improved. I mean, the main thing that is different is, once again, the execution. But improvement is improvement. If you can show off your physique better, more power to you. I suppose the abs are maybe a little bit better or maybe a little bit more chunky, but his condition is better in 2025 compared to 2023, so that can definitely help with the separation as well. And he is flexing the quads different. He's flexing down now, and he does have some feathering in there, although I think the lighting obscures some of that. But whether he's doing the regular style of posing in 2023 where the quads are just kind of there but still posed, or the actual crunched down variation that we see in 2025, Terrence's legs are a strong point. They're always going to look good. But overall, as a pose, I do prefer the execution on 2025, and the extra condition helps as well. So it's not a whole lot of improvement, but it does help an otherwise pretty mediocre shot. So overall, Terrence Ruffin went into the 2025 Pittsburgh Pro as one of the most balanced guys out of all the top names in Classic. And coming out of this contest, that's once again true, but this time in bold lettering. This is why I said I'm going to make an example out of him, because this is what proper development should look like. He's even more well-rounded now, bringing up everything, but the upper body improved just a little bit more to balance his great legs. All in all, this is more than A-okay. This is Classic. It's all about the balance and harmony of one's physique and being able to bring it together with great Classic shape. I think it is a little bit harder to tell how much he improved comparing him against himself because he is so balanced. But I think you'll really notice it when he gets back to standing next to his regular peers at the Olympia. With this physique, I believe he'll be even more formidable than he was at one time. I know he has fallen in placings, even though at the same time he's gotten a bit better though. However, in 2022, when he did fall off to 6th, he was legitimately off. But then in 2023, he got a lot better physique-wise, but then he only moved up 1 place. I think this is mainly because the judges are focused a lot more on other guys now, and rightfully so. Since 2020 and 2021, when Terrence placed runner-up, the division has grown exponentially every single year. And with Terrence's physique, with him being smaller, not having any weaknesses nor standout body parts, he can get lost in the mix for sure, especially with so many great guys running around. But with this new and improved version, and with Chris Bumstead gone, I think he can really do some damage. You'd be foolish to not put him on your shortlist as to people who can actually win the Olympia this year. But this version, he was like 10 kilos bigger or something. At least that's what I remember him saying in the updates, so I'm not too sure about what the actual stage weight difference was. So Terrence, please let us know down in the comments. Oh, and by the way, please come on the Project Bodybuilding podcast. That is an official invitation. But anyway, that 10 kilograms or whatever it was went all to the right places. The upper half is more improved, the legs are too, and he's still really Classic. And he still managed to lock in his conditioning. He's also still the best poser in Classic. He'll be the most polished guy at the Olympia in regards to presentation and all that. So it's the same great proportional physique, just bigger. In fact, because he got a little bigger in the lats and the quad sweeps and things of that nature, his proportions are probably a little bit better now. But what does he need going forward? Well, very simply, he just needs more. Let's face it, he'll be the smallest guy height-wise at the Olympia at 5'5". Mike Sommerfeld is a bit taller, and he's always talked about being more 212-esque, meaning he carries a lot of muscle for still looking Classic. That's going to be hard for Terrence to overcome, and an on Ramon Dino will be hard to beat for both of them because he's taller and bigger, very complete, and Classic in his own right. But he has a serious posing issue to fix, of course. So if I were Terrence, I'd be packing on as much size as I can until the Olympia. I know that sounds like I'm a meathead, but I am being pragmatic here. He's on the smaller side, but he's got everything else, including a balanced physique. Just keep the waist in and grow even more. He's already done that a lot in his year away. He's just got to do it again. Honestly, that's a pretty good position to be in. There's nothing majorly weak. He has the shape and the condition. He just needs to do what a bodybuilder does best and grow more muscle. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you guys thought of Terrence's latest physique and where you have him placing in your way too early Classic Physique Olympia predictions. And if you guys like this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. If you are in need of some high quality supplements and want to support my channel even further, then be sure to head over to Arms Race Nutrition. Then at checkout, use my code Project10 to get 10% off your entire order. That's code Project10 at armsracenutrition.com. And finally, with all that said, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.
Gotta get that Lexia.